as the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship to teach.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like a clown. You?
I'm Peter Venkman.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Damn! Hot.
Kind of a big deal.
First rule of my club is do not talk about my
Yeah, baby!
Baby was.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to another episode of Frame by Frame, Andy.
Thank you. It's good to be here as usual.
This is probably the best intro we've ever given.
Yeah, God, I'll have to mess it up.
I'm probably going to mess it up.
I think there was more to do. I didn't know we'd actually started, so
Yeah.
I just...
Is your chair squeaking?
No, yours is.
Is that mine?
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound right at all. I'm going to have to sit very still throughout this entire episode, guys. Okay, so it's episode 12.
Yes.
Yes, episode 12.
And
It's a dozen.
yeah, a dozen.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I've got the maths literacy and all that kind of stuff down here to help me.
Well, we because of recent exciting news that there may, it's not completely confirmed yet, but there may possibly be more X-Files episodes coming our way.
No way.
Way, dude.
Whoa. I wonder if X-Files will go smaller.
I think...
I think it's going smaller now. 13 episodes max, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's good. They've done it. Marvel's done it with this Agent Carter that's come out. Just 8 episodes. That's it.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's right. You can, because say if someone gives you £10 million, if you're going to make 8 episodes that are great, or 20 mediocre episodes,
Yes.
you'd want to go for the 8 because you can make it. You've got more money for the CGI, for effects, for
more time as well.
Yeah, more time, locations.
Yeah.
So if they do go ahead and Chris Carter says yes, let's do this, I hope they go with the 8 episode format.
That's why in Star Trek, for every 3 episodes, there were like 5 episodes that were just on the ship, them staring at the view screen.
Mr. Data, what kind of cake is this?
It is a cellular peptide cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's.
I think the X-Files themselves, when they were doing because I think every series I must have had like 15, 16 episodes at least.
Oh no, they went for the full 24.
24, wow.
At least.
And they
Pretty sure.
Yeah, and you can tell where the money had been spent in some of the episodes, and all of a sudden it was like, oh well, let's just look at Fro Hickey in a office for half an hour for this one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Or generally they just base it in Vancouver or LA, depending on when they were filming it at the time.
Yeah,
and it was going to be very localized, and it would just be somebody who just stores women in a cupboard. Yeah. Because that's the cheapest kind of fun we can have these days. According to Charlie Sheen, it is.
It is. But what I like is I said Fro Hickey in an office for half an hour.
Yeah.
And you just didn't even bat an eyelid.
No, you didn't
we're
care.
we're that much nerds. We know who Fro Hickey is.
Yeah.
He's a lone gunman, but we're
better
tell
all
the
three
12
of them.
the 12 people that Yeah, he's one of the.
Yeah, because my mother hasn't watched the X-Files at all.
Has she not?
No, so
she's not going to listen to this at all, then, is she?
If we talked about the Lake House or While You Were Sleeping,
right?
Neither of those were episodes of X-Files. They were both films.
No, but Keanu Reeves was in one, and Sandra Bullock was in the other, who were both in Speed.
And neither of them were in the X-Files.
No. Couldn't afford them.
But okay, so let's just go back in time.
Yes.
Let's go back in time to 1993.
Yeah, they would have been filming in 92, came out in 93.
Yeah. In America, episodes came out 6 months before Sky.
Right.
And that was a further 3 to 4 months before the BBC got hold of them. So we were way behind for if you were poor like me, who didn't have Sky. I didn't know about the X-Files until Britannia Video Club had this advert on the back of their of a magazine. I think it was one of my mother's magazines, where if you join up to Britannia, you'd get 4 free videos. The 4 choices I got were the X-Files, volumes 1, 2, and 3, and 4, which were the only 4 volumes that were released in that version.
Right.
And they didn't have the right logo on them. They had random images on the front that had nothing to do with the X-Files, and they were literally just generic marketed episodes of the X-Files.
Well, this is how fortunate I was.
Yeah.
Was because I come from a working class family, but my dad worked very hard, and because I was obsessed with Guns N' Roses at the time, they were doing this 3-hour long Paris gig that was streaming live on Sky Movies.
Right.
So my dad got Sky just for that for me.
Really?
That's how spoiled I was.
Wow.
And then I got wind of this
Sky One.
This you think all the X-Files, and it seemed a series that was tailor made just for me, because I was always obsessed with UFOs and ghosts and the paranormal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, that looks pretty good. I'll tune in for the very first one that I ever heard on British TV.
And that's the amazing thing. I
was probably a bit young to be watching it. But
well, yeah, but I didn't go into it halfway through season 2 or 3. I went straight in with the videos.
Yeah,
and then luckily, by the time I'd finished the volume 4, the BBC started to show those ones as well. So I kind of, in a way, got around the lack of Sky problem with free videos.
That's what came out on BBC.
It came out on the BBC a little bit later.
Yeah, that's better because with Sky One, the adverts were just ridiculous.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, you'd have to you'd have like the opening credits.
Then Lurpak.
Yeah, then adverts, then a little bit of story.
Then Shake and Vac commercial.
Yeah. So I suppose we should talk about the pilot episode then.
Yeah. The pilot episode was just called
The Pilot Episode.
Yeah.
And a young FBI agent is assigned a watchdog duty over a fellow agent, but finds herself drawn into his investigations of paranormal and unexplained phenomena.
Doesn't it just make you feel, yes? There was nothing around at the time. Nothing. I mean, Michael Aspel was making Strange But True episodes.
Yeah.
That was about it. There was nothing paranormal. I think this was even before Most Haunted.
But it came at of course, yeah. But it came at the right time. It was just after the Cold War thing, and everyone was really paranoid.
Yeah.
And then the X-Files come, and it was the right time.
It was
the
like
right show for the right
opening
time.
Things up for the first time.
Yeah.
It was as if, for real, we were actually being told about things that, and a lot of the mythos was built around that.
Agent Mulder, I'm Dana Scully. I've been assigned to work with you.
Oh, isn't it nice to be suddenly so highly regarded?
Yeah.
So, and it was. I mean, I don't think they even intended. I mean, this first episode was, of course, a standalone episode.
Well, that was the thing. It was like watching a film.
Yes, it was very cinematic.
It was, and I think this is probably the first time, or one of the first time, like an actual series. Every episode was. It looked like they spent millions on it.
Yeah.
It hadn't.
Exactly.
They'd obviously done, they find out ways to do certain things, and been very creative with it.
Just better directors, better. I think they had better money. I think seriously, the writing strike was over after 1988, and Star Trek Next Generation was probably the only show before X-Files that was actually creating interesting, gripping storylines.
Well, this was
after Twin Peaks, of course.
Well, yeah. I think Twin Peaks made it possible for these things to happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made that. I want to make a little parallel between the Next Generation and the X-Files.
Oh yeah.
Because the X-Files is set in real, day-to-day life, but deal with extraordinary phenomena.
Yeah.
Where Star Trek is based in space, in extraordinary surroundings, but dealing with very day-to-day mundane things.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There is a very unusual...
That thing, how they could coexist together.
Yeah.
And both do so well.
That's it. That's clever. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Genius, because back in 1983, Star Trek was on its 3rd season, and they were only just starting to get out of their woodenness of...
Yeah.
They were actually starting to get comfortable with it. So I think it was a good time for X-Files to just jump in and actually show them how to do it.
That's why they put the I in FBI. See you tomorrow morning, Scully.
To be honest,
I'm literally thinking, Christ, we've got to pull our socks off here. Look, have you seen that? That was that's the pilot episode, and it looks that good. We better start making.
And that's what it did, and it did.
Yeah.
And I think that so you're look at Twin Peaks being the show that actually opened executives' eyes to think, you know what, people do want something that's a little bit more thought-provoking, a little bit more edgy stuff. They wanted more of that kind of stuff. They didn't want to have soap operas and fluff and.
Incidentally, David Duchovny played a transvestite in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, well, he obviously was breaking new grounds already, and I don't think he's ever stopped really.
No.
But yeah, I mean, X-Files came along, and yeah, it was that first moment where you felt as though that television, it had vitality, it had importance, it had energy.
Exactly, and the dynamic between all the characters.
Yeah,
I think it's cemented in that pilot episode straight away.
Skinner was not in that first episode.
No, he wasn't.
So,
but they did have the cigarette smoker man.
He was just an extra in the background.
Yeah,
he was. He
was. That's
right.
But
they were the only 3 characters who were in the first episode and the last episode.
Yeah.
Was it Mulder, Scully, and the cigarette smoking man?
Mm.
Who I watched bloopers for, and Gillian Anderson offered him a blowjob.
Did you come?
Yeah.
Have you seen those bloopers?
I have.
Oh my god! Watch the bloopers on YouTube. They're hilarious. I mean, to be honest, the stuff that they did on those bloopers, I wish they'd actually kept in the show, because it would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I know, but
would have been a better show with all those sexual innuendo and giving them blowjobs.
Well, the thing is, though, because when you even watching the Comic-Con panels, Gillian Anderson is nothing like Dana Scully.
No,
she's a really good actress.
She is, yeah. I mean, she's managed to keep. I don't know how she managed to hold it together.
Because she's quite ditzy and she says the wrong thing and inappropriate, which is one of the things I love about Gillian Anderson. Is But as Dana Scully, she's really, really good.
I mean, I don't think people realised how hard she was working. I mean, for the fact that she actually always broke. She really is so different, and yet David Duchovny is probably he seems more relaxed in his role, and
he's too cool, isn't he?
He's too calm for the most part, and I don't think there are many times I don't see him as being an angry, agitated person, but. Acting that kind of just goes.
But his character, went to Oxford and excelled. Technically, because of his criminal profile, they caught that serial killer. I forget his name. But I mean, they don't say it. They go as far as to say he's pretty much a genius.
Yeah.
But he's found these X-Files, which the rest of the FBI think is ridiculous,
and he wants to.
But he becomes obsessed with it, and then you got the polar opposite of Scully, who. Even from that very first episode is very like you're ridiculous, but she slowly starts to get taken into it.
Yeah. And
you remember where she gets those mosquito stings on her back in the pilot?
Yeah.
And she goes round to his apartment straight away. Knocks on and just like, can you check it? Because she thinks she might have been abducted, and it's just straight away. It's great.
That's it. I mean, I think that there's for any skeptic out there has to be an element where they think I'm believing this because I'm afraid to think that it was actually real.
Yeah,
I think fear drives a lot of skepticism, or cynicism more so than skepticism. I think skepticism is more about keeping a faculty straight and looking at everything natural before unnatural.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Logically, I would have to say no.
But for me, I think she had a certain sense of she didn't like believing in that kind of rubbish. And she didn't like it. She was a bit more anti, but an anti. You know.
But what's interesting about her character and the show, which is whenever there was a religious episode, she was the one who was led it. She was the one who tended to have the faith, but where Mulder was like, "We believe in God. It's ridiculous."
Yeah.
Which is a great little dynamic.
But that is the dynamic. I mean, science and religion was something that people were very precious about. I think in the early 90s, and I think the X-Files opened up. It allowed people to start thinking, oh, maybe we can talk about this on television. Maybe we can just start to explore the differences between science and religion. And but they never ever called each other out on it and says, they never called each other an idiot, for what they believe. They just gave them the room and said, "Look, I'm not interested. You carry on."
That's it. And there was always this sort of mutual respect between both of them, even when Mulder's doing something ridiculous and Scully's like just trying to keep up with him and say, "Come on," and trying to discredit him all the time. There was always a great respect between the two characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the very first episode, the pilot episode, is to do with an abduction, isn't it?
It is, yeah. About
Billy Myers.
Billy Myers, of course.
Who is it?
Steven Spielberg.
It was Billy Myers and all his college friends that had a party in the woods, hadn't they? And then they were all abducted, and then
that's it.
And then again, it goes to the notion of cover-ups because the neighbourhood were trying to cover it up, and they didn't like the FBI being there. And
yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit more like Twin Peaks in a way. There's a lot of elements of people disappearing.
Yeah, absolutely. The neighbourhood trying to keep the outside influence out. Yeah, we've got this thing going on,
But that's the amusing thing is I read that well, you know that Scully is a female FBI agent, and she was inspired a lot by Jodie Foster's character in Silence of the Lambs. In fact, I think that the series creator Chris Carter had that interest as well, of having that Jodie Foster-esque kind of a sense of it. I mean, Silence of the Lambs as a forerunner would have made a great pilot for this. Would have been an interesting exploration of but less of about supernatural. But funnily enough, I mean, of course, Jodie Foster had a guest role in one of the episodes where she played the voice. She did voice work for a tattoo that talked. So she had a little appearance there. When it came to make Hannibal, Gillian Anderson was really, really frustrated because she couldn't audition for the role
because of Scully. Because
in her contract, when she signed up to do Scully from that very first episode, she is contractually obligated to never ever play an FBI agent in any other film, television, or program.
Wow!
Once she signed up for this, she was contractually not allowed to play an FBI agent in anything else.
The answers are there. You just have to know where to look.
Yeah, I just think you would have think that's Scully playing.
Yeah, exactly. But it would have been
she's been really clever in the film choices after X-Files.
Yes,
where she turns up in the Last King of Scotland and things like that.
But you don't really recognise it.
You think, and she's got the blonde hair, and you're thinking, oh, Gillian Anderson. You're thinking that's Scully. What's she doing in that film?
Yes,
you know
it's Scully.
It was like,
I don't
do you
recall
remember T.J. Hooker?
Yeah,
it wasn't William Shatner playing T.J. Hooker. It was
Captain
Kirk who'd come down and wanted to be a policeman for a bit. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, so we've got the pilot episode, and so that sort of tells you where we're at. What we've got with these two characters and the squeaky chair.
I'm going to get rid of the squeaky chair. This is what I'm going to do. Right, the squeaky chair is out, and I'm going to sit on the
squeaky beanbag. Well, is there any more you want to say about the pilot episode?
It was solid.
It was solid. It was great. It really captured the imagination of everybody.
I knew I'd made the right purchase, even though it was free Britannia videos.
Oh, it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind when I watched that the first time. It was just brilliant. Essentially, we're going to talk about our favourite episodes or episodes that we like. So
it pretty much followed on from the pilot episode.
It never got bad. Yeah. There are ones that aren't as good as one, you know what I mean? But I think one I wouldn't mind bringing up now is Squeeze.
I love Squeeze.
Yes.
Paired up with Tombs as well, because they did have a follow-up. But Squeeze, the whole bile-eating...
what a terrifying monster.
He is able to squeeze his way into any any entrance and kill people,
Yeah.
remove their livers and spleens? Or
Yeah, it was liver because he wanted all the bile, and no, he sort of slept in bile, didn't he?
Slept in bile, yeah. I mean,
What a horrible thing.
Well, yeah, respect, man.
But it was so creepy.
It awakens once every 30 years to kill.
Undetermined points of entry. Each victim had their liver removed.
But this time,
Position 10 requesting backup.
2 FBI agents
Oh my God, Mulder.
will be waiting for it. The X-Files, an all-new episode, Friday at 9, 8 Central.
Yeah, what a great... I mean, straight away, somebody came up with a classic character, and they could have overused him. They only did it twice, but that was enough.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn good, though.
Well, you didn't expect him to come back, did you?
No,
he gets
no,
locked
no.
away. He goes after Skull at the end of the first one, doesn't he?
I think so, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, because the end of actual Tombs, the second one, Mulder ends up going into his cocoon with all the bile and stuff, doesn't
That's
he?
it, yeah, behind the mattress.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah.
No, he goes through a wall, doesn't he?
Yeah, it was
it's through a wall and it's all goo.
I think the first one was in a mattress.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
it was
crawling
kinda like
through bile, man. That's dark.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like I say, you haven't seen anything like this on television. Don't think I think that was really good. And then what's your next episode on your list?
Go on, you pick one.
Oh, I've got. I have to jump to. I'll go to number 3 because if we're going to go in order, I'd like to say that Ice was one of my favorite episodes in season 1.
Okay.
Basically, it's very similar to The Thing.
Yeah, it's this thing that comes out the throat.
Yes, yeah. It then passes on to another host, and then
spores go out with it, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. There was some. I just enjoyed that claustrophobic paranoia. I mean, that was probably the first time I'd actually seen claustrophobic paranoia on the television, not in a film.
Yeah.
And it was just, I enjoyed that. And the fact that they had to go down, Sculler and Mulder had to leave the comfort of the city and go somewhere that was completely remote and isolated. And and it's just, that was fun.
It's worth saying in series 1, we had Deep Throat introduced.
Oh, yes.
Who is like
second
this.
episode.
Yeah, second episode. Who is this?
Your lives may be in danger.
Why?
You've seen things that weren't to be seen. Care and discretion are now imperative.
I saw
As I
something
said, I can provide you with information, but only so long as it's in my best interest to do so.
What is your interest?
The truth.
Who he's sort of you don't know whether you can trust him or not, and he's sort of giving Mulder ideas and clues where to go, and that kind of thing. And one thing I loved is at the end of series 1, he gets shot.
Yeah,
because basically they have to get what looks like an alien baby in exchange for Mulder's life at the end, which is
Elysium flask or something. The flask,
Orion Mia flask.
That's the one.
Yeah. And that was the point we think, I don't know who's going to survive any of this.
Yeah, they were the first shows.
I thought he was a key character.
Yeah.
Well, he was a key character in series 1, and the end of series 1, he's dead.
Yeah, and I think that inspired a lot of televisions. We don't know who we're going to kill off.
And then the last conversation of series 1 is Mulder on the phone to Scully saying they're shutting us down. The X-Files is being shut down.
Yeah.
Which is clever.
Yes.
Because
they've only just started.
They've only just started, but if it hadn't done very well, then they've got a little close thing they can be proud of and say, there you go, we did that, it didn't do that well, never mind.
Yeah.
But it did do well.
It did do well, and then they went into season 2.
Which had a bigger budget.
Yes, but it started... I remember this was the season that I actually was ready for.
Yeah.
Season 2. I mean, I actually missed that last episode where Deep Throat got shot.
Right.
Deep Throat being inspired by Chris Carter's love of All the President's Men.
Yeah.
Deep Throat was obviously the character.
Deep Fruit.
Deep Fruit was... Yeah, he was well into his mangoes. Deep Throat was... shot, and I missed that one. So I kind of only caught that in the very first episode, Little Green Men, which is also on my list of favourite episodes.
Yeah, I've got that down. Perfect way to kick it off again.
I loved it. I loved that
Amazing.
episode. And it was exciting. Oh hey! Oh hey! No ho on the rojo. I learned to see the Spanish in there. Which apparently, according to Catherine, no ho on the rojo is not Spanish at all. It's Spanglish. It's actually no, don't touch the red button.
Oh, really?
I've always said it. I've always said it to the cats. You know, Starbuck, no ho on the roho. But yeah, Little Green Men. It was funny because he's sitting there in a room listening to conversations and surveillance tapes.
Yeah, but again, you've got the isolation. He's on his own.
They're separate. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
What was Scully doing?
If I remember rightly, the FBI guys were trying to figure out where he'd gone, and she was trying to find him before they did. Do you remember? Because at the very end, she manages to find him, and he was like, "It was beautiful," because you may or may not have seen an alien the evening before. And then when they come out, you see all the government officials trying to make their way up, and then they have that exciting down the hill jeep.
You see, I missed that last episode, so whatever she was doing.
Well, she'd been reassigned because she tried to.
She was reassigned.
He was walking around like a zombie.
Yeah.
Not interested because obviously the X-Files weren't happening
He was just
anymore.
eating peanuts.
And she'd come up to him and just say like, "Hi, Mulder," and he'd ignore her and just walk past her.
Oh, that's right. I remember in the corridor. Yeah. So she was just yeah. But I think everybody was more interested in what Mulder was doing. They really didn't focus that much and where she was doing, what she was up to.
Because Mulder was the person who he got this intel to go to this place.
Yeah.
And he was him. He was there, and he was in the middle of a hurricane as well, wasn't he?
Yes.
So he couldn't get out, and again you got the isolation of being stuck in there.
Love it. I love those episodes where they are stuck in the middle of nowhere. But there's just that weirdness about it, that colour, that green feeling about it, that unnerved. Because you actually don't see anything. You just
well, when the doors fly open,
yeah,
he shuts them again, doesn't he? And he's like hiding, and you see a bright light. You can't kind of see a figure emerging from the bright light, and then it just whites out.
It's been a long time, yeah.
And then the following day, he's just coming round at the morning, and Scully's found him.
And there's no record of it. It's all gone.
But I remember just watching that and just thinking, "Oh my god, it's even better!
It is even
better.
It's getting better." And yeah.
And they think they can't top that.
Oh,
the second episode in,
host.
Oh my god!
This was my favourite episode. I don't know why, because that's the weird thing. I don't understand why this episode was so good, but it was. It was about a fluke worm. That
the mother of all fluke worms,
who
was attacking sewage workers.
Sewage workers, yeah. So they're back in the shit, literally, and the host was another one of those episodes that just was so sharp. Everybody was right on form.
Yeah,
and it was freaky as hell. I mean, that sucker thing. It looked like one of the mutants from He-Man, actually.
Well, the visual of its head in the toilet.
Yeah,
just looking up. Oh my god,
it's very freaky.
Very freaky.
Yes. Did it put you off using toilets for a while?
Still to this day. Yeah. What I do, I sort of just like put both feet on one side of the bowl, and just sort of dangle there and just let it just plop in.
With your assault rifle ready.
Yeah. Anything in the water just moves slightly. The amount of time I've blown poo all around the bathroom has been
it's just bang out of water. Oh man.
But I thought that was a fantastic. Yeah, it was just so good.
Yeah,
so good.
There's nothing intelligent I can really say about it though, because it was just good television.
Oh, it was great television. There was nothing really intelligent about it, apart from sharp writing and
intuitive.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
There's a no-brainer. Sometimes television it goes out of its way to be open to so much discussion. That's probably because it's bad, but when it's good, you just marvel in it. You're lost in it.
Because obviously at this point they're trying to make the mythos start to weave through all the X-Files, and they obviously want to keep this going as long as possible.
Yeah,
and so it's important not to have too many other threads going, apart from the alien conspiracy stuff. So you got the standalone films, which with this list, I purposely have stayed away from the mythos because the standalone films are easy to talk about. We could do another podcast about the mythos.
Yeah, there's too much in there. Definitely,
there is, and that sort of thing disappeared up its own backside for a little bit. I think
it did. I kind of felt as though it was kind of like a crutch to lean upon as soon as the characters needed some kind of a motivation to go somewhere. Let's just mention Mulder's sister.
Yeah.
Let's just throw that in there. Or say that his mother knew this character, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh damn it! Then I've got to be involved in this. I want to find my sister.
Yeah. Or we need something. We need something far away like Tunguska. I know what we'll do. Send Krychek there.
Yes.
Krychek pops up when things need to get a bit.
Yeah, when they need to start linking things.
He was an interesting character at first, though, because someone who pretended to be in Mulder's corner said, "I'm with you on this. You know, I believe there's conspiracies, and I'm with you." But I wouldn't mind talking about Humbug.
Humbug.
Do you remember that one? The circus sort of
I don't
freak show.
remember. Is that the guy with the chessboard face? In Wonder
That's
Water.
him who eats the fish, the raw fish.
Yeah.
But I love that episode because I think it's one of the first ones that was genuinely funny. Because I think the X-Files, when they did light-hearted, humorous ones, they were fantastic. And I loved them. They're the ones I watch over and over again.
Yeah.
And this was basically, there was like, surrounding this freak show, there was deaths. And it turns out it's the conjoined twin of one of the other members of the freak show, who was the guy off the train in Ghost.
Oh yes, he had a twin that was conjoined that was killing people and making him.
But had this great line where this is one of the smaller. But he's snooping. It looks like he's snooping around Scully's caravan.
Okay.
And Mulder sort of spots him and's like, "What are you doing?" He comes out and he's like, "Excuse me, I'm fixing the plumbing around Scully's."
Fixing her plumbing.
I'm fixing the plumbing around here. Trust you.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, but he's saying like,
yeah.
Look at you. You know, just because you're a tall, attractive man, you seem to think just because a person of my stature wouldn't be able to attract, a female such as her.
Yeah.
And Mulder goes, "We'd be surprised how many men you attract as well." And looks at him, and I was like, it's a really funny line, and Duchovny plays it so straight that, and then he just looks at him and then they just walks away. It's really, really good.
Could also be a Duchovny thing, though. It's one of those.
He's got that kind of that dry sense of humour.
That is always on the edge. And,
but at the end, when they find out that it's the conjoined twin, and they end up sort of killing it and fixing the situation, sort of thing.
Fixing the situation.
Yeah. What am I on about? One of the freaks is talking to Scully, and he's just saying, "Look, there's no place in the world for people like us anymore. There's no more freak shows like this. Because of the way they can fix, embryos and stuff. There'll be no anomalies. There's no one and in 10 years from now, people will be looking like him." And he has a shot of Duchovny. He's got his hands on his hip, one leg on the step, and he's like giving this like sort of wistful look into the. And it's just brilliant. It's really good.
You see, I've seen the future, and the future looks just like him. Imagine going through your whole life looking like that.
The humour in this, it seems to be in dark corners.
Yeah.
They seem to find humour in dark corners. I think the episode Monday did that as well, which is the episode where they kept on blowing themselves up in a bank.
In a bank, yeah.
But it starts off with that humorous thing every morning of Mulder waking up on a waterbed.
Yeah.
And the music is kind of just jolly kind of music.
He can't remember how we got the waterbed though, can he?
No, and that's hilarious.
Do you remember how we got the waterbed?
Is it somebody must have given it to him? I
No,
don't know.
we'll talk about that in a bit.
We'll talk about that. That's way up in season 5, I think.
Yeah.
So Humbug, I think I need to rewatch that one and take a look at this bit of strutting male testosterone.
Well, I think we both got this one. Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose.
Who?
Have you not got that one? Oh, you haven't?
No, what was that one?
That's
I probably do, but I don't remember the
It's
episode.
a man with psychic powers assist the agents with the hunt of a killer. It's with Peter Boyle in it.
Oh, right. No. I don't think I've seen every episode. There's
Right.
202 episodes.
I've seen every one.
Oh man!
Well, this is
you've
got to see this one. This is another one where he plays a sidekick, but they're after this killer. But it's more about Peter Boyle's character, and he has a connection with Scully.
Oh.
And in the end, Scully ends up keeping his dog at the end of it. But they have this real thing where they sort of like Mulder's put a little bit more to the background, and it's between them two, and it's a really nice, funny episode.
Was that in season 3?
No, I think it's still in 2. I think
it
might be 2 or 3. It might be 3. Yeah,
because I think it was the first episode that was Scully focus was, of course, after Dwayne Barry when she gets kidnapped.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
There's kind of like a whole thing about her, and then they start to think, well, I think up until then, it was always about Mulder first, Scully second.
Yeah.
And I think it was when they started to give her episodes, that her own mythos, she has a completely different mythos than an arc, I should say, actually. No, there's really no mythos. It's more of a personal journey for her throughout this whole series.
It is, and it's because of her devotion to Mulder. You know, she loses a sister, you know, members of her family start to get killed. And
she doesn't realise how important she is in his life.
Yeah.
Because she does ground him so much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's helping her realise a few things about her life. And of course, then they start to throw all these different medical challenges to her. The whole she has a barcode in her neck, and all these different things start to.
Well, that was a chip, wasn't it?
The chip, and
she runs a chip through the barcode at the supermarket, and it goes mental.
Yeah, it's kind of like I mean, it's quite an arc. I mean, let's go back to Star Trek: Next Generation. There was no arc for anybody.
Not really.
In that show.
No.
X-Files.
Well, there was between
arc.
No, there wasn't really. Was there? No.
Data started to say more English things, more normal, regular, everyday things.
Number 2 and the girl who could feel everyone's emotions. They started to get like there was a romantic thing between them.
Yeah, on and off. But that was kind of, but the only reason why they went full on was the movie. But yeah, I mean, the arcs in for these characters were strong, and they were able to pull things into episodes when they needed them. I think it's very, very important that they had that. And
the sexual tension between them.
Yes, well,
it was undeniable all the way through it, but
that's because they were flirty people anyway.
But there was the odd episode I wanted to make is the war.
You're an X-File geek. You are.
You're
really
not kidding
me.
me.
Great. Okay, the coprophages.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. The war of the coprophages.
Coprophages. Yeah, coprophages.
Yeah, which is just. This is Scully at home, and Mulder's just heard of cockroach attacks in this town, and he thinks there's something quite paranormal about it. So he goes off on his own while she stays at back, and he basically through most of it just keep in touch over the phone. And there's a few deaths, and then he rings her. No, she starts to get quite into it, and Scully's ringing him all the time, saying like, "What's going on?" You know, and he ends up meeting this insect specialist called Bambi. She's really attractive, and Scully rings up and he goes, "Oh, I'm just on the phone to Bambi. She's a scientist. Her name's Bambi." And she starts to get jealous, because he's worked somewhere else. But it's done to such comic effect. It's fantastic. It's really good. And up to the end where she ends up going to the town to meet up with him, and
this is Bambi.
And it turns out that some of these cockroaches are actually animatronic. And so they go to this guy who specialises in building these sort of huge insect-like things, and he just can't. It's beyond his comprehension how anyone could do this. And they sort of hypothesise that if someone like another species out in the universe wanted to watch us, the best way to do it was just have these little animatronic insects look perfectly like a cockroach, and that's how they're watching us.
Oh yeah.
But it was just a dynamic between Scully, you know, just starting to get jealous because Mulder's with this band.
The fact that she came out there,
she came out
there. Okay, yeah, that was the start of it. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think it's the start of it because it was always brooding.
Oh yeah,
when
from
she
the
finally
first
gets,
episode,
but when she finally gets to the town, she pulls up and she gets out the car, and that girl's there, and Scully's like, "Bambi, I presume." She went, "Yeah, Fox is in there," and she's like, "Fox, oh brother, stay here. This is for a real scientist," and walks off. It's great.
Her name is Bambi.
It's really good.
Love it because they do play on that a lot, and I think in the last film they went full on with that as well, with the Amanda Peet character. You know, there was obviously they were animosity straight away because you know there's somebody else calling her Fox as well in that film as well. She was calling him Fox. It seems as though any other attractive lady is just allowed to just completely disregard calling him anything else but his first name. So there you go.
So
sexual tension.
Have you got Jost Chung's From Outer Space?
I do, because it's the multi perspective episode where
it's the guy researching his book.
Yeah, that's it.
About an alien abduction.
Yeah, and he
interviews Scully
and
interviews members of that nerd from the town and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Go on,
yeah.
then.
It was just nice. It was similar to when they did X-Cops, where they actually just broke a little bit. It gave you a little bit of a different feel about the show. It kind of reminded you back about Roswell and the absurdity of certain supernatural experiences that they go through, and the way that people glamorize them and turn them into B-movie type characters. And I thought it was a lot of fun.
It's really funny.
It's one of those episodes that you do want to go back to, because there's no darkness. No family members get murdered in this. It's just nice it's just pleasant.
And it's good when, like, Scully's telling it, they're very professional, but when the kid's telling his version of the story,
it's just weird.
It's like Mulder comes into his bedroom and slaps him in the face and then, don't tell anybody about this, and slaps him again. Like, clearly it never happened. But when he said, like, 2 men in black turned up, I'm sure one of them was a robot, and then Mulder sort of walks up, and instead of saying anything, he just goes, ah! And then that's it.
Very Twin Peaks.
His face was so blank and expressionless. He didn't even seem human. I think he was a mandroid. The only time he reacted was when he saw the dead body.
Yeah, that's a bleeping dead alien body.
Very Twin Peaks.
Very Twin Peaks. Very
You've got to
quirky.
say that there's a lot of Lynch in that episode, and I think the probably fans, the writers are obviously still fans, or at least tied in somewhere with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, that's why I liked Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when they actually went meta. That they actually started to look at science fiction in an episode, Far Beyond the Stars, where all the characters suddenly became people working on a science fiction magazine, and they were in a way doing the same thing. It was a satire about their own show, and in a B movie kind of a science fiction kind of a way of looking at it.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to just say, look, we're putting it out there. This is science fiction. None of these things that we do are actually, well, we'd like to think that there were some of those weird things out there, but for the most part, tattoos don't talk to you, and there are no big worms in your toilet.
No. Unless you've been eating apple cores, and sometimes you may pass one out with a lot of pushing.
Ooh, yeah. Apart from spiders and bananas, that's as far as we can go in this country.
Incidentally, what colour is Scully's hair?
Auburn.
I would go as far as say red.
You'd say red.
Yeah, sort of ginger.
Yeah.
Like Ginger Spice. I think she was modelled on Ginger Spice out of the Spice Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting little tie-in.
Just a little conspiracy theory all of my own.
Yeah.
I just thought of right now.
So
I better say it.
Ginger Spice. Well, when did the Spice Girls start?
When the X-Files did. It was born out of it.
It was this. Yeah. Oh man, they should have done an episode. That would have been an interesting episode.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
No.
Okay, what do you got next?
The Postmodern Prometheus.
Is that the name of the episode, or are you just...
No, that's the name of the episode. That's the one where Mulder and Scully travel to a small town that they say there's like a monster dwelling within the town who's sort of getting people pregnant. It's kind of like an Elephant Man type story, filmed completely in black and white. Again, it's quite a humorous one because the guy who's got the disfigured face is obsessed with Cher because of that film Cher did.
Oh, because of Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's a real fun one. Again, the whole thing's in black and white, and they find out this guy's not all that bad. But what he's been doing is at night time he's been drugging people and putting like a tent over the house and going in there. It's quite insidious and essentially having sex with them, and they're having having these disfigured babies. But it's got another.
Is there gestation period, or are they actually just pregnant and having babies very quickly?
Oh no, it's a gestation period. She got made pregnant by months. I think that's what drove them there.
Yeah.
And at first, the town is seeing it as a real sort of opportunity, and they're really nice to Mulder and Scully, and they're really over the top and don't pay for that kind of thing. But as they start to get more into it and say it's not a monster, it's just this figure person, the town go against them because they wanted it to be a monster.
Right.
But at the end of it, they're on Jerry Springer saying, "I want to keep my monster child."
He does guest star in one of the episodes, and that was the one.
Postmodern Prometheus, yeah.
Wow.
And at the very end, Mulder and Scully take him to watch Cher. It's great. It's just a nice little thing. You got Mulder and Scully just dancing away, and he's up there loving it. Another really great. I can't believe it.
I haven't seen that one. You see, there are a few that I missed.
Well, I suppose you've not seen Bad Blood then.
Is that when the vampire one?
It's a vampire
falls
one.
in love with Scully.
Yeah, Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson.
He plays this sort of sheriff in the town.
Ah, yeah.
Because this starts with Mulder chasing after this kid, and he gets him on the floor and stabs him, and then he looks at him and there's no fangs, and he just goes, "Oh sh!" And then it starts with the credits, and then it's basically a trial of and Mulder and Scully have got to testify. So when Mulder testifies, he's this real rational guy who's really nice, not pushy at all, giving his version of the story. And the sheriff's like this buck-tooth idiot.
Ooh, boy. Y'all must be the government people. I'm Lucius Hartwell.
He had big buck teeth?
Who's dead stupid, doesn't understand what he's doing. But when Scully testifies, Mulder's this over-the-top sort of arsehole who won't let her have any sort of say, but the sheriff says he's an incredibly attractive man. And it's really funny to have these two polar...
Again, it's a perspective episode.
It is. It's another one
multi-perspective episode, and I think that's probably what your pull is, isn't it?
Yeah,
You like
but
that kind of stuff.
I do. But they sort of go about in the books, in the original books about vampires, they're obsessive compulsives. So when this pizza boy, this is how he's getting to him. He's a pizza boy, and then he attacks him and drinks the blood. He sort of drugs them through the pizza, and Mulder's like out of it, and he gets this jar and just throws it on the floor, and all these beads go everywhere. And the vampire's like, "Oh, brother!" And he has to start counting everyone to put him in the jar before he can attack him.
Brilliant.
Great writing.
Thoughtful stuff.
So good.
Oh, I think I'm running out of episodes now.
Have you not got Drive?
No, I thought about Drive, but then I couldn't remember it at all, and I thought, that sounds like that Ryan Gosling movie. So I don't know, I'm not going to put it in. It's an early episode in season 7, I think.
It is, yeah. Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
But it's a guy who has to keep travelling east, I think. Otherwise, he's got this massive headache, and if he needs to keep going east, or he's going to die.
Oh, right.
And it's Bryan Cranston is the guy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And one of the writers who wrote for X-Files saw him, and that's how
Breaking Bad came about. Yeah.
Which thing's worth.
Do you think? Okay, so as we're getting to the end of our lists here, I've got to. You've got. Well, I'm getting to. I'm actually. Do you know what? When somebody says make a list of your favorite episodes, do you how many do you think is? I mean, come on, viewers, how many would you actually do? What is a logical number to stop at?
Right. Imagine how many episodes are there? Like 200.
Yes.
At least 10% of that.
Yes, but like you say, you had to cut out the whole mythos to even get to these standalone episodes, and you have what, 23?
Yeah, I even thought.
Man, oh, you thought about but yeah. But I went for 10, and I was very selective because I've got X-Cops.
That's fantastic.
And I love X-Cops because it's putting the X-Files into something else again.
Yeah.
And seeing it from another perspective. And yeah, it's basically Cops.
Yeah.
The two issues, and they follow. I actually.
It's filmed like an episode of Cops.
I have to apologise. I don't remember what the murders are about, but because I remember the actual design of the episode was purely based on Cops.
Yeah.
Which used to be on Sky One. After Star Trek Next Generation, would you believe?
Oh.
I don't know why I keep on referring to that, but it was there. And it was basically a full-on episode where they are being followed by cameras and they're aware of it. Now there has been several TV shows that have actually done an episode where the cameras are aware of them. Where they act. Sorry, there are several shows, not X-Files. Another show, the ER was the other one.
Yeah.
ER did it after, I think, where they did a live hour episode where everything was just live and they had to do everything as if it was being shot for television with cameras there in front of them, and they knew exactly that it was being televised. And it's I think that's probably the hardest bit of television that you can end up doing, is when you're actually aware of cameras.
Yeah.
You spend all this time being told to don't look at the camera. Don't, just pretend the cameras aren't there. You're in the room. This is, we're not here. You need to really focus on what you're doing. You're a character. You're doing this. And all of a sudden,
But again, they did it brilliantly because Scully hated the cameras.
She did, I remember that.
Yeah, but Mulder really sort of enjoyed it. There's one
Yeah.
point where he's driving and he's talking about, like, oh yeah, you know, this is quite normal for us. Because I think there's a neighbourhood monster who's been
Yeah.
attacking people.
But that's what
And
cops
he's like,
is.
yeah, and he's like, so that's kind of why they pay us the big bucks, you know? And it's great. It's so good.
It is fantastic. And that's in there. Yeah. So...
Do you remember Triangle?
No.
It's where Mulder, against what everyone's told him, a ship has reappeared that's been it's disappeared since World War II. It's been no one's thought it's something that's reappeared. So against everyone's wishes, Mulder has to go to this ship, and while he's on there, he goes to a different dimension into World War II, and he's got to stop the scientist. I forget the one who created the atom bomb. What's his name? He's on this boat anyway, but Scully's on there. Yeah. But playing a different character. Skinner's on there, but he's a different character who plays German.
No. This doesn't seem right.
It's brilliant. It's freaking brilliant.
Are you sure?
Mayday, Mayday. This is Special Agent Fox Mulder with the FBI. I'm on the SS Queen Anne. Ship in distress. Mayday, Mayday.
British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. No such undertaking has been received. Consequently, as of today, September the 3rd, 1939, this country is at war with Germany.
There's loads of bit. It's just so good. It's really good. And long takes. It has this take. There's no cut for about 10 minutes following Scully all around the FBI headquarters. It's because she's furious because he's actually gone and done what he's done, you know, gone against what she said. Don't go there. Don't leave the ship alone. But he's still gone anyway. And it's this long, steady cam shot all around the FBI, and then there's more in the boat. It's
Please,
great.
are you telling me that he wakes up and it's all been a dream?
You never know. It's left ambiguous.
But that's the whole thing. I don't like it
because
when...
there's one point when he's on the boat.
Yeah.
And he's basically saved the day, and he gives Scully a kiss, but this alternate reality Scully from World War II.
Yes.
And Scully punches him in the face, and he's like, "Oh, I always thought it would be the right hand, not the left." But she punches him in the left, and he jumps off the boat, and they find him in the water.
Gotcha.
And then he's in the hospital, and Scully's all sort of like really annoyed with him, and he's like, "Oh, am I okay? You know, is everything all right?" And everyone's like saying, you know, when you come to, I'm going to give you a good pasting for this. And he says to Scully, like, "Scully, I love you," kind of thing. And she's like, "Oh, brother," and just walks off and leaves him. And then as he leaves, he sort of just holds his jaw like it actually happened. But you don't know whether he went to this ship and ended up just falling in the water or they rescue him. But it's a really good ship, and a really good episode.
I love ships.
I bet you don't know Dreamland 1 and 2, do you?
No.
Do you not remember the one? It's a two-parter where he goes into...
maybe I will remember.
He switches bodies with a member of Area 51. And it's the guy at a Spinal Tap.
Outpost 134. 2 miles to go.
I'm all a tingle. So, Mulder, the supposed clandestine source has contacted you. How do we know that he's not just another crackpot whose encyclopedic knowledge of extraterrestrial life isn't derived exclusively from reruns of Star Trek?
Because of where this particular crackpot works. Groom Lake, Area 51, where the military has conducted...
For the past 50 years, classified experiments involving extraterrestrial technology.
No, I do not remember this episode.
Well,
I'm gonna have a binge.
You're gonna have
on
to
X-Files
because this one's a brilliant.
And then we'll do another episode on the mythos, and then
Okay.
I'll be well in there.
Well, this one's like another hugely comic one because he switches bodies with this guy, and he ends up having to go to his family house. You know what I mean? And he's like daughters are asking him about certain things, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and it's really funny. But this is why. That guy goes into Mulder's life and starts then...
tinkering with his.
Well, sleeping with women, drinking. That's how he gets the waterbed.
Right.
He buys a waterbed. And, you know, and he tries to sort of woo Scully. He makes a meal for her, and she nearly falls for it. Until he realises that this would never have happened, and she knows that Scully's inside this... Mulder's inside this other guy now. And it's about getting him back, you know, how to sort of swap him. And it's this anomaly that they've created in Area 51. that just like puts like a leg inside something else and puts like it just makes matter mesh together. And this is how they've ended up swapping consciousness.
That's fascinating. And then now I have, because one of my other favourite episodes was Monday.
Yeah.
And that ties in the whole story of the waterbed.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. You see, I'm amazed. You come here and you just completely turned my X-File world around.
Then my job here is done.
Really? How are we doing?
59 minutes.
Oh, do you know what? There's so much to talk about. We haven't even talked about the films yet.
We haven't. We're going to have to maybe do a series of X-Files podcasts.
I think we might have to.
We'll have to just keep dipping in and out of it.
This is just about our favourite episodes.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get through all of mine.
Come on, let's go on. Let's go. Go on. What's next?
How the Ghost Stole Christmas. It's a Christmas Eve. Mulder and Scully stake out a house that is on Christmas that is supposedly haunted by the ghosts of two lovers who killed each other in a lovers' pact 81 years before. Yeah.
Christmas special.
Inside, the agents find two apparitions who were more than willing to give insight into the relationship and personalities of Mulder and Scully.
Oh.
And that's another really fun one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one and definitely work, but really well filmed. We'll go into, like he'll run, like there's no cut, but he'll run, well there will be, but he runs out of one room. Like there's like a door on the left hand wall and a door on the right hand wall. He runs out the door on the left hand wall, instantly comes out the door on the right hand. So he just can't get out of this room. It's just a fun little
ghost house episode for Christmas.
Then Monday I put down, so you can talk about that.
Monday, yeah, it's Groundhog Day episode. But yeah, the episode is about the same day happening over again. Mulder wakes up. He realizes that he's got to go to the bank because his water bed has leaked all over the place. And of course, he's not supposed to have a waterbed in his apartment. He doesn't understand why he has it there, so he has to go and get a check to pay the landlord for the cost of the damage. Unfortunately, he has to go to the bank, and when he gets to the bank, there's a hold-up. There's a guy in there with explosives, and every time he goes in, Scully goes to find him as well, and she ends up at the bank. They both end up blowing up in the bank. And so then the day starts again. The newspaper's thrown against the door, and there's another day. And every single day, there's a little bit more knowledge instilled into Mulder's memory. And of course, this woman who keeps on stopping him in the street to let him know that this is going to happen again and again and again. And every time she tells him, he ends up going in the bank. Same thing happens again.
Isn't the woman has something to do with the shooter, doesn't she?
She's the girlfriend.
Yeah.
And which. To be honest, there is one plot hole in this whole episode. Is why doesn't she just stab him to death while he sleeps at that night before? When she wakes up, obviously she wakes up and and she knows that he's going to go and blow up and why doesn't she just kill him?
Maybe she loves him, can't bring herself to do it.
Yeah, but I think if it happened about 50, 60 times, I would be willing to.
I've recently watched Interstellar.
Yeah.
And love knows no boundaries.
Love knows no boundaries.
Love is the universal constant.
You're right. So she can't kill him. But yeah, anyway, so she lets it happen every time, and Mulder and Scully die every single time, and then Mulder starts to realise through, Scully gets warned by her just before it all happens, and eventually they come to a conclusion where the woman has to die at the hands of her boyfriend, and everything is back to normal again. So, but it's fun to have a Groundhog Day episode in there. We haven't seen any of those for the X-Files before, so it was just it was fun as well, because every time Mulder woke up, he had to try and stop his waterbed from leaking, which went on for a good 5 minutes. There's so much of that. They just didn't want to cut any, of course, because it's just David Duchovny.
Yeah, well,
they don't want to cut any.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. But he's such a good comic actor, isn't he?
He is.
They both are. They're both great, but him especially. I think it's because of that dry sensibility he's got. But
yeah, but he can be serious and comic.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, he's not comic. As in, you would never ever see David Duchovny doing stand-up.
Oh God, no.
No. But he still has that diverse range as an actor, not a performer.
Well, you watch him in Californication, and he's like, wow. That's so far removed from Mulder to be Hank Moody.
He's quite disgusting, to be honest.
He's a quite revolting character, but again, the way he plays it, you can't help but root for him. He can't get off his drugs, he can't stop drinking, he can't stop sleeping around. Every time he manages to get his wife back, he'll mess it up somehow and sleep with another girl. He just can't help it.
He's
for
like
some reason,
like this Charlie Sheen
like
that you
him.
admire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
Charlie Sheen
with
is
talent. There was just one I wanted to mention, which is one called The Unnatural. Do you remember that? It's a baseball themed one. David Duchovny wrote and directed this one, and it's Mulder uncovers a story involving a Negro baseball player in the 1940s who played for a minor league team in Roswell. When in a photograph he sees the alien bounty hunter, it is presumed that Josh Exley, the baseball player in question, might just be an alien himself. And again, it's just another fun.
Trying to figure out if this guy's an alien.
Well, I think it turns out that he was an alien. You know what I mean? And he ends up like interviewing people who knew things about him and stuff. But yeah, it's just a really good, fun one.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
nice.
Check that out. First gun shooter we've talked about. Hollywood AD. It's a real good parody of Hollywood. Sorry, that was my zip. Of my coat. Not my pants.
It's a big parody of Hollywood, yeah?
Yeah, where Skinner has a friend from college who's a producer in Hollywood, and he wants to make a film about the X-Files. And again, David Duchovny directed this.
Yeah.
And it's...
he likes his metafiction, Duchovny.
Yeah,
it's that Twin Peaks sensibility.
But Tia Leone plays Scully.
Yes.
And Gary Shandling plays Mulder.
And
Gary Shandling is one of his best friends, and Tia Leone obviously was his ex-wife.
And I think there was a comment about Tia Leone saying the show. There was a comment about that in the episode, wasn't there? About Tia Leone couldn't fancy Mulder or something. What was that?
Yeah.
She makes a comment.
Yeah, she flirts him a little bit.
And I don't think I could get a Tia Leone.
Oh yeah. I don't think. Yeah, he says I don't think. Yeah, kind of like what would she want with someone like me?
What would she want with someone like me? Yeah,
that kind of gag. That's a bit shoehorned in, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there's a great scene in it where they're all trying to be anti-Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, oh no, forget this. And there's a scene when one of them, I think Mulder rings up Scully. Mulder's in the bath with some champagne and chocolates, and he rings up Scully, and Scully's in the bath with champagne and chocolates. And he's saying, "So what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just working on some files." "What are you doing?"
Mulder, it's me. What are you doing?
I'm working at the computer. What are you doing?
I'm packing. Just, getting ready for a trip back to DC tomorrow.
Scully, I was just thinking about Lazarus, Ed Wood, and those tofurkey zombies. How come when people come back from the dead, they always want to hurt the living?
Well, that's because people can't really come back from the dead, Mulder. I mean, ghosts and zombies are just projections of our own repressed, cannibalistic, and sexual fears and desires. They are who we fear that we are at heart, just mindless automatons who can only kill and eat.
Party pooper. Well, I got a new theory. I say that when zombies try to eat people, that's just the first stage. You see, they've just come back from being dead, so they're going to do all the things they missed from when they were alive. So first they're going to eat, then they're going to drink, then they're going to dance and make love.
Oh, I see. So it's just that we never get to stay with them long enough to see the gentler side of the undead.
Exactly. Hold on a second, it's my line. Hello?
Agent Mulder, it's Assistant Director Skinner. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time.
No, sir, I'm just at the computer.
Listen, I just wanted to apologize for coming down so hard on you during the Huffman/Fallon case.
I appreciate that, Skin Man.
Don't call me that.
Yes, sir. Where are you now?
I'm right underneath you. I'm in LA at the same hotel as you. Right below you and Agent Scully. A friend of mine got me a associate producer credit on the movie.
AP Skinner, huh? So what are you up to right now, sir?
I'm taking a bubble bath.
Hold on, just one second, sir. Hey, Scully, Skin Man is calling me from a bubble bath.
It's still me, Mulder.
Sorry, just hold on one second, sir. Scully?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skinner is calling me from a bubble bath.
Wow. You've really gone Hollywood.
Totally.
Mulder, speaking of Hollywood, I think that Tia Leone has a little crush on you.
Yeah, right. Like Tia Leone's ever gonna have a crush on me.
I think that Shandling likes you good, too.
Really? I love you, Scully.
I'm doing the same. And it's like split screen, and then all of a sudden Skinner rings him up, and it's a three-way split screen.
Actually
he's in the bath. And then you say to Skinner, "What are you doing?" "I'm having the bath, having some champagne." Because he just doesn't care. He's in Hollywood, but the other two are trying to have,
Very nice. Yeah. Again, like I say, I'm going to have a binge. And when I'm ready, I'll let you know when I'm
Okay.
ready, and we'll do another episode.
You'll love the end of it because it has this. We're all the. It's about the Lazarus Bowl. That's what it's about. The Lazarus Bowl, and all these corpses at the end get reanimated, but they end up just doing this like weird dance routine towards the end. It's good because it's sort of taking the mick out of Hollywood a little bit.
You with your endless list, which we haven't. We could put music on, but it's kind of split throughout the whole episode.
Yeah.
This whole episode is a list.
It is. I'm so obsessed with lists.
You are. But
I make lists about lists.
And I just make. I don't even get a list out. I do want to kind of just share before we finish. There's one fact that I found absolutely amazing. You know Mulder's mum?
Yeah.
Played by Rebecca Tulin.
Yeah.
She's played the older lady, and, you know, of course, because it's Mulder's mother.
Mm.
She was only 1 year older than David Duchovny.
That is amazing.
She was just 1 year. She basically, I don't know if she was old before her age, about old before her time, or if it was makeup, but she looked at least 20 years senior to David Duchovny, but she was only 1 year older. I still can't fathom that. When I saw that, I read that, I had to go through several sources to confirm it, because I thought, no way. Mulder's mother, 1 year different to David Duchovny.
I'm saying that now it's like over 20 years since the X-Files began.
Yeah.
They both look the same. They don't look like they've aged at all.
Scully's got a little bit more angular, and she's kind of, like I say, she's got more of an edge about her now than she
But
did.
I think styles have changed rather than the way they look. I think they've aged. They could still do it now.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's what I
that
mean.
last film, you didn't really tell that David Duchovny had aged.
No. And that, again, is the great thing, because it's the right time to bring it back now, because we have got a paranoia against the government. And,
A new one. Yeah, there's a whole...
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
at one point, X-Files wasn't relevant anymore because people trusted the government. But then after 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, and people have got this inherent distrust with the government again, it's the perfect time to bring it back.
And that was probably why, I mean, I noticed that after Fight the Future and right up to season 9, they wanted to make a film straight after the last season. But they never did, because of legal issues, and they couldn't get all the actors together, which is probably why Skinner only appeared in a couple of scenes at the end of the movie. But it took them a further 7 years to get that film out. Because, like you say, there was probably, up until 2001, people are kind of just relaxed and just got used to things being a little bit more open, and they didn't seem to have this problem. But yeah, as soon as 2001 happened, I'm surprised that X-Files didn't come back sooner. Because, but maybe it was the wrong time then. I don't know.
I think because
too soon.
I'm not sure it was too soon, but they got into their own thing, didn't they? Because I know after doing the X-Files, Gillian Anderson said, "I'm never going to do TV ever again." She's since gone back on that and done The Fall.
Yeah.
But she's not in that much, you know what I mean? I think it was just a character she fell in love with, and they all went on to do different things. You know, she's kind of gone in and done some decent films.
It's probably best to have a break.
Yeah, David Duchovny did a few films, nothing that incredible, but obviously his TV work has been...
Yeah, I loved him in California, but that was even during when he was making...
with Brad Pitt, that's a very good film.
Yeah, maybe you're right, that maybe there was probably too much going on in the news as well because of the September 11th and the war and the fight, the search for Osama bin Laden. That news was already too into that. Everybody was already too into conspiracies. Now people are kind of relaxing again, are they?
I think
they're paranoid, but they're kind of getting... that it's not as entertaining anymore, so they need the X-Files to come back to make it entertaining again.
Perhaps, and I do think the general, between my friends and talking, people don't trust the governments. They know we're not getting told the truth. So this is the perfect time to bring it back. And it's 2012 is the alien invasion, if we're going off the timeline. So they've already sort of, not invaded us, but they've been introduced into our collective.
Gotcha. So there's something more that they can actually handle.
So which I would imagine they do it perfectly well, introduce it to a new crowd.
Yeah.
By doing it in a certain way of like this sort of clandestine alien invasion, and then the people like us who watched it from the very beginning would be like...
We'll just latch onto it
Yeah,
from where it
just latch onto
fell
it.
on. Yeah, yeah.
And then it'll introduce those people then. I want to go back and watch all the... Oh, I've got 200 episodes to watch.
202 episodes, and it's going to take me a while to go through
I
them
don't
all
think you have to
again.
go through all 202.
I'd like to.
So, X-Files.
Okay.
Next time we'll talk about the films.
Yes.
And then when you talk about the mythos.
The mythos, yes.
Yeah, and try and get to grips with it and deconstruct it.
We'll probably do
Make
it in
sure
a
it
few
works.
episodes in the future.
Yeah, no, not for a while yet.
Yeah,
I think we don't want to
overcrank.
There was that episode, Home. Do you remember that with the inbred family?
Yeah, that was the first episode that actually had to have a warning at the beginning of it before they put it on television. No other television show at that time had ever had viewers' discretion.
Because essentially they just wheeled out the mother to have sex with so she could give baby, and then wheeled her back under her.
Dark.
Wow.
Dark.
That apparently came from Charlie Chaplin's story.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
yeah.
Charlie Chaplin went to, I think he got invited to go to a house, a freak show house or something. It was in southern America.
Yeah.
So we went there, and they basically just wheeled this thing that had no limbs, and it just sort of sat upright, and it just sort of danced, and he walked out and left it, and that was their mum. And that was the sort of the idea.
Wow.
Of the story.
And he just kind of took it with him, and yeah.
But I remember season 4 of the X-Files being really dark. That was really tough. There was the odd sort of light-hearted.
Yeah.
But the crux of that whole season was really dark.
The thing that they lent on as well is that the Mulder's gone missing, Scully's gone missing, Mulder's gone missing.
Scully went missing.
If you want to criticise X-Files, you could say that they did probably rely on the Mulder has gone missing thing.
And then when, Duchovny didn't really want to do it anymore, so he just got abducted.
Yeah.
That was it. And then came back when Dockett and the other girl sort of were introduced, and I lost it then. I still watched it, but it just the X-Files is Scully and Mulder. It's not
tired. It
Agent
did get
Dockett
tired towards the end.
Yeah, and even the last episode, the court case, that never really amounted to that much.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot more with that.
It's a shame because I think they could have tied a lot of things a lot sooner and then found Could they have found new motivations? Could Mulder have had a new motivation to look further?
Well, the motivation being that Mulder and Scully had a child, and this child is something because Mulder got experimented on, and then they had a child together.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's something quite special about this child, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. And so searching for that would have
been another avenue to go down. Maybe they will in the episodes. Hopefully it'll get made and we'll get to see it.
But yeah, that was it. That's kind of all we can delve into of the X-Files at this time.
Yeah, I think we've spoken enough.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
What's that?
Who's that outside your window? Is that?
Oh,
is that?
No.
Is that the X? Is that the Spice Girls?
No, they don't.
No, look.
Oh my God, who's that?
That's Sport. She looks a bit sporty. She looks a bit posh. You got a ginger one, scary one.
This is not right.
Baby one. Come on.
What are they doing? What are they putting masks on? Oh my God, they're coming over here. They're coming over here.
To the door.
Just having fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God, they're in.
Oh yeah.
Quick, just grab everything. What? Oh my God!
What do you want?
What is it?
No, will you grab me? No.
To become one. What do you mean to become one? What?
I want to take this opportunity to let the people know how they can contact our friends at Frame by Frame. They do that podcast
You
thing.
know those two guys, yeah, they do the podcast, okay? So
they're nice. They're like a forest, which is a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And so if you want to do the communicating thing, you know, the social networking thing.
Yeah, you can tweet those guys at Frame by Frame 78. If you'd like to go to their website, that will be www.roastedportions.com.
You don't need to do the www. It's implied that it's going to be the World Wide Web.
But people need to know that.
Okay, just go to roastedportions.com, okay? You go down the right-hand side, you've got the social connections. You can talk to the people who do the show. You can even talk to the people who made that movie, you know, CACO3.
Who'd want to talk to those mooks?
I don't know, they made a pretty interesting movie, right? It was in black and white.
Yeah, black and white. I like that.
We like black and white, and there was also some trees in that movie, too.
Oh, trees. It's like being in a forest, which is a beautiful thing.
Other connections, you can really get to know these people on YouTube as well, and if you want to comment on their podcast, I urge you to do that. Okay?
Yeah, I think it is a proper, really nice thing if people want to start contacting these guys.
Subscribe to them and comment. I mean, it's just polite, you know.
Also, you can email them at framebyframe78@gmail.com.
That's it. I think that's everything wrapped up, so.
Hey, I'm gonna go and plant a tree somewhere.
Okay, you go plant some trees.
I'm gonna go plant a tree.
I'm gonna go tweet.
You tweet, I'll plant a tree.
It's us. We're out of here.